ago, education didn't stop for everyone. It only stopped for some of us. And you all know whom I'm talking about. The most powerful classrooms I have ever seen didn't have a blackboard. It only had a screen that kept freezing. No desks, no school hallways, no any pen or something. It was just a small screen, an unstable internet, and where everything keeps freezing, somebody asks, "Can you hear me? Or do you have my voice?" I guess we all have experienced such a thing at least once. But the best thing is that learners still showed up anyway. This is Amarkhil, and today I want to talk about one of the most popular and the most misunderstood topic in education, which is e-learning, or we can say electronic learning. We have all heard the term at least once. When you hear e-learning, do you first think of recorded lectures or online exams? I guess we do. Most of us imagine that. That's what most people imagine about e-learning. But what I have seen is very different. I have seen students who were once quiet in traditional classrooms, they became online active, using those digital chat boxes, those raising hand stuff. Even they got the chance to speak the things that they have never spoken before. Sometimes that happened through Zoom, sometimes through Google Classroom or Google Meet, sometimes through a shared document where for the first time everyone's voice fits on a page. And this is not futuristic. This is not something that we think of it as idealistic thing. This is already happening. And if I say e-learning didn't make the learning weaker, it made it more visible for us. Let me be clear about e-learning. E-learning is not one thing. It's many things. It looks like meetings. It looks like meetings on platforms, as I said, Zoom, Google Meet. It looks like collaborations over projects from across the globe, that students are doing projects and they are giving feedback to each other. It might look like studying as well through platforms like YouTube, or even some NGOs, some online academies, that they are bringing that vision to life. For example, the recent one that I noticed was by the name of Zakra. They are just bringing that vision to life, and also they're combining mentorship with education from across the globe, which is quite amazing. And this is something that we should focus on instead of finding the excuses. So, about shifts and changes that e-learning offers, let me give you the first thing, or the first example for it, which can be control. Control can be the first and important shift that e-learning offers. Why? Because in physical classrooms, if you miss something, you miss it. But online, you can pause, you can rewatch, you can rewind, you can understand better. Because sometimes we replay the video multiple times until it finally clicks. And also another powerful shift that e-learning offers is participation. In many classrooms, the loudest voices dominate. I mean, if you have the loudest voice, you can lead the class, you can talk whatever you want. But in online, something changes. Even those quieter thinkers, those introverts like me who can't talk publicly, they can also share their ideas through those little chat boxes. So I can say that e-learning doesn't remove participation. It actually multiplies it with many ways. Now let's talk honestly about a very challenging thing in e-learning, which is poor internet connection or no connection at all. Has your internet ever disappeared in the middle of something very important? I know it's so exhausting sometimes because you don't know what to do in that moment. And internet connection can be one of the biggest barriers that ignoring it doesn't help us. But here's the key idea for it. E-learning doesn't require perfect internet. It requires smart design. What does that look like? Let me share you some tips, actually. These tips can be useful for those who are working in this field, for educators, and also for those who are studying, like a self-study thing. First of all, it says designed for asynchronous learning. which is a very difficult word. I tried my best to memorize it. Asynchronous, which means recorded lectures instead of live ones. We can have recorded lectures just so they don't miss anything when their connection drops. Second one can be use the low bandwidth tools on purpose. For example, simple slide, text-based platforms, and some offline activities that they will still have access to it. Third one can be keep it short, especially for the teachers who are teaching online. Keep it short but purposeful. And instead of focusing on multiple things, you can focus on one, but clear and purposeful. And finally, make it downloadable, like PDFs, like, for example, activities that they can do offline. So the point is, the moral of the story here is that connection and internet connection shouldn't be a reason to stop learning. It should be a reason to design smartly. And of course, let's not forget the great developers of our country, the software developers, who are just trying their best to make it adaptive for us. I mean, they are building their platforms even though when the connection is not stable. So a round of applause for them as well, and hats off to them. Of course, when I share these reasons, these steps, these stories, people just raised doubts about it. And of course, one more story can be, recently I met some of my students, and when I was talking with them, I realized that they had something very, very important, which was that they met online. They actually built a tech project online, and guess what? Two 17-year-old girls received funding for their project and won a contest globally. One of them is living in Kabul, another one in Herat. They haven't even met each other. But the good thing is that it should be an inspiration for all of us. So when people raise doubts about these kind of stories, these kind of tips, we have some solutions for those doubts as well, because those doubts are reasonable sometimes. One of the most common doubts are like, e-learning is not real learning. But the question is, what is real learning? Is it sitting in a chair or is it understanding? Because sometimes, and mostly, I have seen students playing and replaying a video until it finally clicks, or even explaining the things to each other in breakout rooms better than any other lecture. So real learning does not come from location, it comes from engagement. Another common doubt that people raise or they talk about is that students won't focus online. But let's be honest, sometimes students don't focus offline either. And I can see most of us are not focused here as well. So technology isn't a distraction. The problem is the design. If the lessons are clear, are purposeful, are engaging for the students, believe me, they will stay active. I have seen students committed to a 3 hours lecture with me. I even didn't take any attendance from them, but the thing was that they were not forced to join that. But because they showed commitment, they felt ownership in that classes. So we can say motivation grows when they feel seen. Another common doubt is that we can't build real connection online. But the question is the real connection all about sitting next to someone? I bet you don't even know who is sitting next to you even now. Because it's all about intention. It's all about talking, interaction, peer feedbacks, projects. They can build connection. So for most of the learners, e-learning or screen, it doesn't reduce the connection. It actually removes the fear, especially for me. I was really afraid to speak, even online, even to turn on my mic. But after that, I was teaching classes, which actually removed the fear. And another common and the most important doubt that people raise is that I want to start learning, but I don't know where to begin. And my answer is always the same. Have you researched about it? Or if you have done that, have you set a clear goal or you want multiple things at once? For example, I know someone who wants to be a graphic designer, a web developer, and software developer at once. Is it possible? No. I mean, 99%, it's not possible. About that 1%, I'm not sure if they exist actually. And that is the most important problem nowadays in youth as well. We want everything so fast. We want everything overnight. I want to be a perfect person tomorrow. But you're not setting a clear goal for yourself. If you want to be a graphic designer, just go for that. But don't focus on multiple things. I still think about that freezing classroom, not because of the unstable internet, but because of the commitment. Because the learning happened, the teachers adapted, and learners joined and showed up anyway. E-learning doesn't promise perfection. It promises continuity. And sometimes all we need to change our life is continuity. So let me end my speech with a very good poem in Dari. And I hope it will act as a call to action for all of us. It's all about movement. It's all about having that energy to move. So it's like that. موجیم که آسودگی ما عدم ماست. ما زنده برانیم که آرام نگیریم. Thank you so much.